mga ka-Ayabels. This is going to share to you about physical geography. So it is a very good topic, no, particularly in social sciences. So pag-aaralan natin yung physical geography of a particular country because nowadays physical geography has a vital role or a vital um, importance to our the earth, of course, the earth, no geography. So this is going to share about how physical geography affects a particular country. So, ano yung ambag ng physical geography to a certain country? So, we know that geography is a study of the physical features of the earth. Pero meron tayong two types, physical and human geography. Pero tayo magpo-focus sa physical geography. So, yung katangiang physical. And physical geography is all about the natural features, no, the phenomena of the Earth's planet surface and interactions with them. So, examine natin dito yung effect ng geography sa iba't ibang continent and region in the world. No, of course, in the American region, the Caribbean countries, Europe, meron tayo ditong Scandinavian countries, of course, Asia, hindi mawawala Japan and Philippines, Africa, Oceania, nandiyan ang Australia, no? So that we can know the similarities and differences of those physical geography of that country which affects their political, economic, socio-cultural, religion, and environmental aspects. Ano yung epekto ng physical geography sa mga particular terms na yun? So, unahin muna natin dito yung sa Amerika. So, of course, puntahan natin yung Caribbean region, composed of the countries Bahamas, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico. So, we know kasi ito ay mga, like, parang archipelago country din na napapaligiran sila ng tubig. But, most importantly, physical geography affects their country, no? Una dyan sa lahat is that, of course, pag archipelagic or hiwalay-hiwalay yung mga pulo sa mga bansa, nagkakaroon ng divided political regimes or politically divided region. Um, of course, they are fragile in liberal democracies. Nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang ideology ang bawat part, no? And then, other things that meron din yung epekto sa kanilang territories. Of course, overseas, just like the Philippines, diba? So, we are more on the liberal country, democracy. So, it's more on islands, enclaves. So, they are being divided into different regions. Ganun sila politically. Di ba? Nag-iiba-iba yung paghahati no, pagdating sa gobyerno, no, pagdating sa ano yung pinapatupad na mga batas. No, because of the island term na tinatawag natin. And pangalawa dito ay economic aspect. Sa Caribbean countries, sa America, if you're looking in the world map or in a globe, in economy kasi nga sila ay napapaligiran ng tubig. So, more on yung kanilang pinagkukunan sa kanilang ekonomiya ay sa tourism. Of course, yung mga resort, um, they are more on the islands, tourism, yung climate nila, world's top tourist destinations, no, yung kanilang mga klima, no, kaya nga tawag sa kanila dito nakalagay is blue economy. Ibig sabihin nun, it offers great economic growth potential kasi nga ang pinagtutuunan nga nila, ang prime location is tourism. 'Di ba maraming turista na dumadayo doon. That's the number one income of their economic income, no, for many places in the Caribbean Basin, no. Mga beaches, 'yan, mga resort dinadayo ng mga turista. So, yung isa sa kanilang potential ability in that economic region, etong tinatawag natin na Caribbean countries. Next is the socio-cultural aspect. Sabi nga dito sa Jamaica, if you're familiar with Jamaica country, out of many, one people. So, ibig sabihin noon, more on dun sa population ng kanilang bansa ay mga descendants of African slaves. So, if you're going to look back to the world history, no? So, may mga slaves na tinatawag. So, more on yung mga origin ng Caribbean countries. No, if you look at their color, more on they are blacks, right? So, they are the origin of African trades or the population itself kasi they are from the past slave trade na tinatawag. So ganun nakakaapekto yung migration no sa population and sa culture din ng mga tao sa Caribbean region. They are from the past are slaves no in the African region. 'Di ba? May mga ano kasi may mga batas din kasi na patungkol dito, 'di ba? Parang nagma-migrate sila sa ibang bansa. So yun yung aspects ng socio-cultural sa Caribbean countries. And then, punta tayo sa religion. So, dahil American country, nasakop ng Spain, Portugal, and France. So, they are immune with the Roman Catholic dominant religion in that region. So, more on mga Katoliko yung mga tao doon. That's the religious aspect. Kasi nga, nasakop sila ng colonialism, slavery, immigration, and globalization. Sunod natin dito ay ang environmental aspect. Of course, this is a cause and effect. Dahil nga sila ay islands, they are being projected by waters, oceans, the Atlantic Ocean, and then seas, no? So, of course, they are immune with tropical storms and hurricanes. Diba? Kasi nga because of their coastal topography, no, they are immune with that hurricanes. Kasi kagaya sa Philippines, we are immune with the Pacific region. So, nakakaranas sila ng typhoon, disasters, hurricanes, storms, diba yan? Trade winds, kasi nga, ano sila malapit sila sa dagat. So, they are immune with that environmental aspect. So, mostly kasi mga archipelagic country, ganyan sila, immune sila sa mga typhoon, hurricanes, and storms. Okay, yun yung sa Caribbean countries. Nakita nyo, di ba, yung epekto ng physical geography sa kanilang economic growth, sa kanyang socio-cultural aspect, sa pagsakop sa kanila ng iba't ibang bansa. So, punta naman tayo ngayon sa Asia. Okay, so we belong here in the Philippines. So, Asia, punta tayo sa East, particularly Japan. So, yan, mga archipelagic country. So, napapaligiran ng tubig. So, unahin muna natin yung sa political aspect ng Japan. If you're looking back to the world history again, no, if you can read here, no, political aspect, dati kasi Japan is divided into many autonomous domains. Kasi uso doon yung mga nagmamay-ari ng lupa, yung mga lords, yan yung samurai, shogun, if you look back to the world history during the world wars, no? So Japan is politically divided from that time. For now, for most of its, nakalagay nga dito, for most of its history, Japan has been divided into many autonomous domains, no? Iba't ibang may-ari ng lupa. But now, Japan is under unitary parliamentary system, constitutional monarchy, which is the geographical effect of its centralized governance in the country. So they are being united from being divided, they are being united by local rulers. So, ganun ang pag-control o transformation ng Japan pagdating sa kanilang politically because of the physical geography, archipelagic one. Sunod natin ang economic aspect. So, yun na nga, kagaya sa Caribbean, kung sa Caribbean naman ay tourism, sa Japan naman, of course, they're more on the fishing, no? Japan remains a major seafaring nation. So, iba't ibang fishes, iba't ibang freshwater supplies, no? Meron nga Sea of Japan, no? It is surrounded by the sea. There are both warm and cold currents that flow through and around it. Kaya lang, ang disadvantages naman nun, Japan's largely infertile and immature soils require careful husbandry and fertilization kasi nga, yung climate din kasi nila malamig na bansa, no? Nasa taas kasi sila, north, and they are more wet climate, no? Snow, they are struggling with the agricultural land. Some are not less arable or hindi na kukultivate or napagtatamnan kasi nga doon sa climate. But Japan advantages relies heavily on the sea as a source of food. No, it is one of the largest fish catches of any country in the world. No, yung advantages ng mga nasa archipelagic country. And then, punta tayo sa socio-cultural aspect. So, alam naman natin Japan, China, and Korea are very magkakalapit sila sa isa't isa. So, they influence each other, culture, and philosophy, particularly Confucius. So, kasi nga, they are called the East Asian giants. These countries are very strong in particularly independent countries, no? So they're affected with the dynasty of Chinese civilization, no, how sila influenced by those countries. And also Japan has a single ethnic group, no. The few exceptions include those classified as resident aliens, particularly Koreans, no. So sila naman kasi ay magkakamag-anak lamang ang kanilang mga ethnic groups, but they believe that they belong to single ethnic group na nakalagay dito, no. And then, pagdating naman sa religious aspect, if you're familiar with Shintoism, no, it's an ethnic religion that is only found in Japan. So, Shinto was based on respect for the forces of nature. No, masyado silang immune sa ng nature in worshiping ancestors and the emperor. No, they are, if you know, if you watch Japanese anime or Japanese dramas, no, they are having shrines called Tori, a Japanese gate. If you're familiar with that, no, it's the entrance to separate the earthly world and the sacred world. So it is a polytheistic religion. Polytheistic kaya sila sumasamba sa nature at sa iba't ibang ancestors. Polytheistic, so marami silang sinasama. Poly, you know? So madami sila. So people commonly, major historical figures as well as natural objects have been enshrined as gods, no? So, yan, kasi nga, they are polytheistic, they are adoring different gods or different worship ancestors. So sa environmental aspect, the same with the Caribbean, they are experiencing earthquakes, typhoons, and volcanic eruptions. So yun yung mga disadvantages nung mga malapit sa karagatan. So they're also experiencing tidal waves, no, yung mga tsunamis. No, so but Japan is very unique, no. But Japan has been working hard for years to minimize their damage. If I remember, that's 2012, 2009 ba, 2012 ata, 2011, no? Yung nagkaroon ng tsunami sa Japan. So, but Japanese people uses innovative technologies to create earthquake-resistant structures and to trace storms with more precision, so that the history will not repeat itself, no, in their countries to be distracted by those natural disturbances. So, ilan pa yan sa mga problems ng mga malapit sa karagatan na bansa. Okay, so that's Japan. And now, let's go to the Philippines, wherein we belong in the Southeast Asia. In the political aspect, no, we know we are in the presidential system of government, and also Philippines is archipelagic country, no. So in the political aspect, we are divided because of the fragmented islands of the Philippines, and ito kasi yun, eh, no? Ito yung pinagtatalungan ngayon is that policymakers have put forward the argument that a shift to a federal system is necessary because of the Imperial Manila Syndrome. Because the center of the country is Manila, of course, is the capital city in the country, and provinces further away from Manila in terms of geodesic distance are indeed a disadvantage. No? Resources cannot be given to those provinces apart from Manila because that's the center. So it's the issue today, no, it's the dependence on internal revenue allotments which inhibits local growth. So, ilan yung sa mga pinagtatalunan ngayon because an archipelagic country is very hard to be disseminated kasi nga archipelagic fragmented, no? They need a political policy that will fix this problem. So, yun yung ilan sa mga problema ng mga archipelagic country. And then sa economic system, just like Japan and Caribbean, Philippines, balanse naman dito, no, meron din sa fishing, but also we are a largely remain agricultural country. Aside from being fishing resources, no, the rich natural resources, no, Philippines is also gifted with the agricultural products industries. No, the country produces bananas, rice, coconuts, corn, peach, mangoes, pineapple, sugarcane, pork, and beef. No, so we are very gifted with that thing. And also natural resources, pagdating sa fishes, no, nandiyan din siya. In terms of socio-cultural, so we are from Austronesian family, but we are being influenced by Chinese and American or Spanish ancestry as they are being colonized. Our country is being colonized by those countries. So most of the population is Christian, and of course we are having indigenous people, indigenous ethnic group were not influenced during Spanish colonization. That's why it still remain in our country. And of course, our culture is being mixed by both East and West as we are being influenced by Chinese, the Americans, no, iba't ibang bansa, United States, Spain, kasi nga part na din ng globalization or ito yung mabilis na proseso no ng pagdaloy ng mga kultura, impluwensya, goods and services, particularly in the world. Also in religious aspect, we are the third largest Catholic population as we're being influenced by the Spanish, no? 333 years of colonization. Roman Catholicism, 90% of Filipinos identify as Christian. So Muslims, meron din. And then in the environmental aspect, just like Japan, no, we are near the Pacific Ring of Fire wherein nandiyan yung mga disasters, calamities. No, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, floods can be experienced in our country. Also, we have a problem in deforestation, soil and water pollution. So, yun yung isa sa mga common na problems in our country. So, yun yung effect ng physical geography in naka-ano na tayo, naka-America, American region, and then the Asia. So, punta tayo ngayon sa Europe. Now, in Europe, we only chose two regions. So, of course, the North. If you're familiar with these countries, Scandinavian countries, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, and Ireland. So, ilan yan sa mga napapaligiran din ng tubig. No? More on ang pinili kasi natin dito ay mga archipelagic country. Now, in the political aspect, ito kasi yung mga countries na parliamentary and monarchy. So, meron silang mga king, meron silang queen. Yan, particular political system nila. And, yung mga countries ngayon, sabi nga least corrupt in the world. No, ang galing, no? Nung kanilang mga policies. But it depends on how they handle their republics or their government power. Hindi na natin ito masyadong i-discuss, no? Mag-focus kasi tayo sa Asia. So, economic aspect, ganun din kasi mga archipelagic countries, shipbuilding and fishing markets. So, pangingisda din, maritime, renewable energy, engineering, telecommunication, and electronic industry. So, mapapansin nyo, may mga common or the similarities yung mga countries pagdating sa pagtatangi ng kanilang physical geography. So, next tayo sa socio-cultural aspect. No? So, ito kasi mga bansa na to, more on Catholic, Christian, meron din naman kasi mga atheist o mga walang religion. So, ilan yan sa mga nababanggit dito. Religion, yan, Christianity din. So, more on common din kasi tayo. Christianity in the church, as they were influence, no? Environmental aspect, yan, pollution. Meron din naman kasi dito mga disadvantages din. Mga glaciers, George, if George. Yung mga parang ice, kasi nga more, kasi yung climate nila doon, nasa polar na. Okay, Africa. So, Africa, as you know, it's the black continent. Why black continent? Because it's underdeveloped region. The resources are underdeveloped or they are still developing. Now, so in Africa, we have Egypt here in the North country. Is one of the most popular country in the African continent by the Suez Canal. Now, if you know Suez Canal, so it is artificial made, human made tawag dito, daungan or daanan ng mga barko in influential position in that region. No? It is a construction of the Aswan Highland. Search nyo kung gusto nyo makita yung Suez Canal, no, in Egypt, no, para sa kalakalan ito. So, nagkaroon din ng mga war kasi dyan eh. Nagkaroon ng siguro dito sa Suez Canal na ito sa Egypt, no? Of course, that's for the shipments, no, in trading, no, global trade, dumadaan dyan. For the economic aspect, mayaman ang Egypt sa oil and gas exports, tourism industry, nandiyan syempre ang Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, no, mummies, tourism, yan din ang pareha sa kanila sa Caribbean, tourism din sa kanila. Of course, ito, the Nile River is the most famous one, no? irrigation canals, no, mga tubig din. Trade, manufacturing, they are more similar in Egypt. Agricultural productivity, they are still common here. Sa sociocultural naman, they are Muslims. 90% of the Egyptians are Muslims. And they are followers of the Islamic religion. So may mga Christian din. So they're mostly divided with that religion. Yan, ito din naman parang Japan din, pero sa kanila iba. They're still polytheistic, no? Security and timeless. Number of gods. They have many number of gods. They are believing with natural worships ancestors and gods and goddesses, ancient gods and goddesses. So yun yung paniniwala ng mga Egyptian people. In the environmental aspect, no, dito sa kanila is ang kanila namang problema dito ay water pollution and limited freshwater resources. Because of that artificial made, no, may problema din sila dito sa pollution. Of course, water scarcity, sa soil salination, may problem din sila sa waste, solid waste, drainage water, and raw sewage. So, ilan yan sa mga pollutions, mga common na problem sa Egypt. Punta naman tayo ngayon sa South Africa. So, the political aspect in South Africa is the discrimination pagdating sa apartheid laws, no? The whites and the blacks. Ethnic separatism in a multicultural land. No, being slaves, yun yung mga negative social equity in that period. Political disadvantages or political confrontation na tinatawag natin dito. No, mga sa racial discrimination, yan common ang mga nasa African region. Sa economic aspect naman, agriculture is their most important sources in their economy in South Africa. Mayaman kasi ang South Africa, particularly sa minerals, yan gold, diamonds. Meron din sila niyan crops. May mga products na sa kanila lang makikita. Dairy products, meron din sa kanila. They are evolving country. Tourist attractions, mineral resources. Fishing areas, meron din. In socio-cultural aspect naman, this colorful mix of cultures gives South Africa its name Rainbow Nation. Why? Because they have 11 official languages and many other unofficial ones. So they have many languages, no own language, no unique language in their country. So even they're being influenced or colonized by the British, no, ito nga yung tinatawag na apartheid, practice of segregation of racial discrimination na tinatawag, no? Yan. Terrorism meron din. So majority of South Africans are Christians, no, as nakalagay nga dito, the largest established Christian denominations directly rooted in European settlement. No, may makikita din ka sa kanila, Malays, Hinduism, Judaism, and then sa environmental aspect, yun din kasi pollution, lack of energy, and deforestation. Common yan sa kanila. And the second issue, ito yung sa kanila, lack of energy. Kung meron silang diamonds and lack of energy siguro sa electricity, kulang din sila sa coals, yan, mga fossils, sa fuel. So, punta tayo ngayon sa Oceania. So, yung Africa kasi, ganun yung common na effect ng physical geography sa kanila. And then, punta tayo sa Oceania. So, sa Australia naman, Australia is very rich. No? Of course, Australia is called the Commonwealth of Australia. May influence kasi yan ng mga British or ng Britain country. No? So, being influenced by the British Empire, hanggang ngayon, hawak pa rin sila ng British, kaya nga Commonwealth, no? May influence pa din sa kanila, politically. Economic aspect, marami din sila. May agriculture, cattle, sheep, dairy products, natural resources. Nakalagay nga dito, agricultural potential or excellence resource extraction possibilities. They have the 10 of millions of domesticated animals, 1/5 of the world's wool production. So, ginagamit yan sa mga damit, no, yung mga balat ng cattle and sheep. So, una na rin dyan ang tourism, income, trade agreements, and protectionism. Pagdating sa kanilang domestic and even international. Sa socio-cultural, they are most ethnically diverse nations. No, halo-halo, iba-ibang ethnics din, iba't ibang influence din ng countries ang makikita natin dito. That's where they're ethnic, they are diverse. Sabi nga rito, ayan o, only about 2% of the current population consists of Aboriginal people. Aboriginal people, these are the original people of Australia. So, may nangyayari ding migration population, nagkakaroon din ng, that's why immigrants nga, Australia's immigrant population, no? Nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang encouraging sports waves of immigrants transferring to Australia. And English is the first language of the vast majority of the population. So, ito yung critical sa kanila. Most Aboriginal languages or original people languages are in danger of dying out kasi nga nagkakaroon ng mix of culture. In religious aspect, Christianity is their current most dominant religion in Australia. Kasi nga British settlers at colonization. In environmental aspect naman, climate change, deforestation, saline water draining, may mga disadvantages din. And nagkaka-problem din sa agriculture, overgrazing, overfishing. Next, punta tayo sa isa pang part ng Oceania continent is the New Zealand. No, so, in the New Zealand, parehas lang din sila ng Australia, being influenced by the British Empire. Same economic aspect, tourism, products, fossil fuels, renewable resources, livestock, butter, meat, dairy products, wool. Yun yung nakakasurvive sa New Zealand's economy. So, ayan. Parehas lang din sila. So, in New Zealand, in their socio-cultural aspect, they have this, New Zealand was one of the last sizable land areas suitable for habitation to the populated by human beings. So, they are being, the first settlers were called Polynesians. If you look into the map of the world, you can see these Polynesian countries. So, Maori culture, ayan ang mga dominant culture sa Australia. And then, they are very diverse also culturally. Ayan, majority are European kasi nga nasakop sila ng British. Kiwis, living in cities. Religious aspect, Christian. New Zealand is nominally Christian, iba't ibang religion. But there is no established official religion in that country. Dominant lang pero walang official. In environmental aspect, um, deforestation, drain of water, pollution, lax water allocation, and usage strategies. Yan din. So, ilan yan sa mga physical geography na pahapyaw natin dito in the continent of America, Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Australia. So, pumili lang tayo ng ilang countries. No? So, thank you for listening. These are just examples of my sharing of physical geography, all about geography.
One in the physical geography, we have Japan. So let's be detailed in explaining the economic, geographical, politics, and global trade in significance of Japan and the cultural value. So as you can see, that this is the map of Japan. This is the structure of the country, and it is an archipelagic feature. No, so let's examine the geographical importance. So Japan is mainly composed of four islands, namely Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and Hokkaido. So Japan is one of the great country in Asia, and even disasters fault circles the Pacific Ocean, causing earthquakes on the country. This is beauty and riches of their land is giving more emphasis and interest rather than its dangers. So largest fish catches of any country in the world, much of it derived from long distance deep sea fisheries. Also, Japan is in economic strength. It's called the economic giant kingdom, called the Britain of the East, because of its global supremacy. Now, since the war, Japan's independence, spectacular economic growth brought the country to the forefront of the world economy. Today, Japan is the world's third largest economy, versus US and second is China. Now, as being dominated by China, the rising country, and aside from that, Japan is the world's largest producers of motor vehicles, steel, and high technology and manufactured goods. No, electronics, notably consumer. And an economic giant. No, the country of Japan, although its resources scarcity, is considered as one of the wealthiest nation in the world. know how terrific Japan is. So the resource base, Japan, regional and structural context. So iba't iba din yan. Meron tayong agricultural resources, meron sila oceanic resources to overcome their rising population. The human resources, marami silang techniques, marami silang trained population of the country. So ilan yan sa mga economic development of Japan. And pagdating naman sa political stability, Japanese constitutional monarchy composed of emperor and prime minister, and they are central authority and national unity of the home island. So, yun yan sa mga bagong development or updates sa government in Japan. That they are being disciplined, the country. Japan's system economic management is probably without parallel in the world. Though the extent of direct state participation in economic activities is limited, the government control and influence over business is stronger and more pervasive than in most other countries with market economies. So they're being disciplined and they have administrative guidance and policies to be implied or implemented in their country. So meron din sila dito sa crime rate and safety. They are low in crime rate. No, they are violent crimes, severe restrictions pl- take place on the possession of firearms. So they're being disciplined with the police so that it can be lessened. And then the global trade status, Japan is one of the world's principal shipbuilders and automakers and is a major producer of such basic products as crude steel, mga electronics, um, mga nag-ano kasi sila no? Nag-import kasi sila ng mga raw materials, no? They are the world's largest and most advanced industrial plants. Robotics, they're very innovative, mga electronics, telecommunications, they are most upgraded. Trades, transportation, telecommunication, industries, transportation trains, their bullet trains, networks, yan, ilan yun sa mga automobile industries, sa mga sasakyan, products, no? Japan is home to six of the top largest vehicle manufacturer in the world. You know, the multinational companies such as Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Suzuki, and Mazda. Yan, they are very competitive. Now, the quality, durability, and fuel efficiency and features for a relatively cheaper price than their competitors. They matibay talaga pagdating sa Japan. And also, in their cultural values, they are more on the ethics of cooperation, patient, gentle, and harmonious way of life. Productivity, working in harmony is for productivity. No? Marami silang mga values that unique around the world. Japan is extremely productive and technologically advanced, yet is one of the most sleep-deprived countries in the developed world. No? So as a conclusion, hindi yung pakapyaw natin sa Japan that for me, the world will not be complete with if Japan didn't exist. As what I've mentioned above, these significances are more likely the strengths of Japan to be driven with excellence and quality in every way because the country is instilled its discipline and self-sufficiency, even calamities are inevitable. I believe that the roots of their success is based on the determination, character, and values they have. Japanese rules have made me feel all sorts of ways. As a matter of fact, Japanese culture is centered on respect of privacy and respect of hierarchy in the family. Japanese values are thoroughly rooted in all aspects of life and will always impact family work and social interactions. Family ties are strong in Japan and bind not only the living extended family but also work and social interactions. Family ties are strong in a living extended family. That's why it's not surprising to admire Japan as being a proactive country to be who they are in their global status today. So that's how great Japan is. So yun yung pag-examine natin in detail in Japan. So next naman tayo, punta naman tayo ngayon sa Singapore. How physical geography rather affects Singapore. So obviously, sabi nga dito sa question, no, can the physical features of one particular country affects its standing or status globally? Of course, physical features, as what I've said in the previous discussion, that it is definitely affect their global hierarchy, economic instability, and political exclusivity. Now, it has a role in shaping outcomes within or outside the borders of that country. It is natural that geographical features provide the foundation of countries. So, internationally, so tignan natin yung Singapore and ilan sa mga bigating bansa. That Singapore, the flag, the largest port in Southeast Asian region. So, puro Asia yung pag-uusapan natin ngayon dito sa physical geography. First of all, yung physical feature ng Singapore na nakapit sa kanya ay ang kanyang strategic location. Or it's like a diamond shape. If you look in the flag or map of Singapore, so Singapore is just a small country, but it is very large in inside domestically. So its strategic location is being separated from Indonesia by the Singapore Strait and from Malaysia by the Straits of Johor. So it is most crowded society in human history with no pressure release valve. So as we know, Singapore is just divided, separated from Malaysia. No, it's being independent. So maliit na bansa lang siya pero it is the largest port in Southeast Asia for the trading, the global trade, no? Mga cheap trading and financial center of Southeast Asia ports, maritime ports, no? Mga business port activities, no? Na ibibigay sa ibang bansa na magkakaroon ng global trade or ng kalakalan. So, Singapore has no natural lakes but reservoirs and water catchment areas have been constructed to store fresh water for Singapore's water supply. So, this is also innovative like Japan, ilan yung mga bigaling bansa dito sa Asia. Glaringly, this Singapore's strategic location at the southern tip of the Malaysian peninsula has ensured its standing in status globally, which is greater than its size might seem to justify. Thus, even Singapore is small or tiny, it has gained a global importance, transforming itself from a large fishing village to a bustling port with a high-tech focus because of its physical place in Southeast Asian region as a port country and surrounded by waters, which is an advantage for economic trading. So that's the number one advantage of Singapore. Its port trading look like diamond strategic location. And then, yan, kung makikita ninyo, di ba, yan, nakahiwalay siya sa Malaysia, nandito siya sa baba. Strait of Johor, and this is the Strait of Singapore. It's a small country with different islands also. Yung mga islands din siya. Grabe, ang linis ng Singapore. Ilan yan sa mga features yan. Pangalawang feature is its tropical climate, ang kanyang klima. So, parang Pilipinas din, Singapore is classified as tropical rainforest climate. No? This is like a dry climate or too much rain, just like the Philippines. Ilan yun sa mga climate niya, always warm and wet. Minsan mainit, minsan naman ulan ng ulan. So, Singapore is also famous for its ideal place for beach lovers. So, tourism din ang kanilang unang pinagkakakitaan dyan because of their physical feature of their beaches, um, resorts, no? And also tourism, as what I've said, no? Is the growth of its tourism at it is a multicultural country. It's a mixed ethnic region, Chinese, Indians, Americans, Europeans. So, ilan yun sa mga um, tao na nandiyan sa Singapore. It's a multicultural country na tinatawag nga, no? So, ilan yan sa mga famous na architecture, Merlion, if you're familiar with that, Marina Bay Sands, Garden by the Bay, beaches and islands, no? And ito yung nagpa-famous sa kanila, no? The Singaporean parliamentary government, of course, contributed a lot for the physical feature. Even if Singapore is small, they give solutions the country is getting hotter during dry climate. No, mainit na mainit daw talaga pag dry climate doon, no? And Lee Kuan Yew, no, the first prime minister of Singapore, which turned it as an advantage through the industrialization of Singapore, though about air conditioning is the secret to the country's success. No? Thus, tropical climate welcomes both leisure and business travels year-round. So therefore, this country is one of the premier cruising centers of Southeast Asia and an exciting port of call on any Asian cruise itinerary. So ilan yung sa mga biggest or the economic giants, even small countries, Singapore and Japan are the most. So ilan yan sa mga feature. Ito si Lee Kuan Yew, the first prime minister na talaga nagpo-develop ng Singapore, the Merlion. It's how Singapore looks like. No? So, ilan yan sa mga physical feature that affects Singapore's economy and other aspects. So, punta naman tayo ngayon sa pagko-combine nung dalawa. Mag-focus tayo dito sa Japan and Philippines. So what are the link between Japan and Philippines? So of course, Japan and Philippines have been tied together since the era of world wars. So despite many countries that can be associated with the Philippines, I chose Japan because it has the geographical factor that can be compared to our country and somehow similarities as it's physically an archipelagic territory. Hence, these two countries, our country, the Philippines and Japan, have a long historical link to discuss which today continue its diplomatic relations economically and politically. So the context of this paper, we are going to examine and analyze the relations which can be the major feature of both countries' growth and contribution to the region and the world. So unahin muna natin ang geographical context contribution. So they're similar but Japan is bigger than the Philippines, no? Also in the population. In the population naman ay syempre mas malaki sa Japan din, no? There's no doubt that Japan is bigger than the Philippines based on its area and even in the population. Pero ang pinakaiba niyan, sa Philippines, we are more on the younger population, which is between 15 to 25. But sa Japan kasi ay matanda na ang populasyon sa kanila. Their ages are ranging 40 to 80 years old. So, may mga balis din, rocky soil. Ang pinakaiba nga lang sa Japan is less arable land because of their climate na nabanggit natin kanina. On the contrary, Philippine territory can cultivate more agricultural lands, but mostly fishing industries is an advantage from its water geographical characteristics. So they have similar characteristics in physical features in land and water. And also, para malapit sa Pacific Ring of Fire, nakaka-experience sila ng mga natural disasters such as earthquakes, typhoons, and volcanic eruption. Sa Yuma naman, may mga pagkakatulad din sila at pagkakaiba. So more on kasi sila ay similar sila family-oriented, hospitality, in eating rice, utensils, ilan yan sa mga similarities ng Filipinos and Japanese and other habits. No? So pare-parehas lang din sila sa mga dates, sa mga nicknames, sa mga pangalan, and in their values. Yan, ilan yan sa mga feature natin dito. So, laktawan natin yung iba rito. Medyo mahaba ito. And, punta tayo ngayon sa regional. So, pagdating naman sa kanilang partnership and friendship, they can influence the international or the Asian continent. Pagdating sa globalization na phenomena, security, and engagements, malawak ang kanilang friendship pagdating sa diplomacy, no? Sa partnership nila sa economy, sa peace, no? Sa anti-terrorism, peace, security, regional security in the area kapag may tourism. So, ilan yan sa mga partnership ng Philippines and Japan. So, punta naman tayo ngayon dito sa, ito na ngayon nabanggit natin kanina, peace and stability in Indo-Asia Pacific. Ilan yan sa mga partnership ng Japan and Philippines. Ambag nila yan sa ASEAN, sa Association of Southeast Asian Nations, sa Asian region. Yan, ilan yan sa mga pagkakasundo nila. Sa political naman, the two countries are also bound by geopolitical ties. No, yung sa issue natin sa West Philippine Sea that Philippines and Japan have rapidly upgraded their political relations, no, pagdating sa maritime security posture sa South China Sea. Yan, magkakakampi ang, ito naman yung mga details lamang ito. So, pahapiwan natin. So, sa economic naman, meron din silang relationship pagdating sa central role ng Japan sa Philippine economic development. Na pagdating sa mga investments, pagdating sa independent foreign policy, na meron din silang mga partnership dito. Donations sa mga um, technologies, ilan din yan sa mga partnership ng Japan. Lalo na sa COVID-19, yung mga vaccines. So, they are being giving donations to our country. And, yun. So, ilan yan sa mga partnership. No? They are very common. Ito naman kasi yung mga detalye lamang. So, in ASEAN, APEC, no? Compared to most other Southeast Asian countries, the Philippines is under-analyzed in academic studies. No? So, yung partnership ng Japan and uh, Philippines is being focused to stronger ties na tinatawag natin overall, no? Newsworthy nga na tinatawag yung pagbibigay nila ng mga vaccines, lalo na ngayong may pandemic. So, ayun yung tungkol sa physical geography ng link between Japan and Philippines. So, eto pa, may isa pa rito. Ito naman ay papakita ko lamang. Ito naman ay ginawa naming paper, no, in our master. So, we have the contribution of Asian continent to world economy, politics, and culture. Ito kasi may video din tayo dito na hiwalay, no, world economy and politics. So, ilan to sa mga, these are the basic paper, ganito kasi gumawa ng paper. I'm just sharing to you, no, ilan sa mga, ano natin sa paper, ano ko na rin to, na-discuss ko na rin to dito sa ating channel. World economy, yan, yung sa West Philippine Sea, yan, etc. etc. So, ilan yan sa mga ginawa natin, no? So, marami na tayong naanong paper. So, that's it. No? So, thank you. So, ito yung mga discussion natin patungkol sa physical geography.